Boom, 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 boom. Hey, Thundercloud here on Chillin Tuesday at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Hey, we've got a special night for you tonight. Yes, this Chillin Tuesday, I'm going to be putting in the video that I got up down in Bendemeer, you know, where you take your bananas, say Bendemeer. And down in Bendemeer on last, Saturday night I was, and nine poets all up. And we had a wonderful night at the Bendemeer Hotel with well over 100 patrons as well, enjoying a lovely evening of poetry. So big ups to the Bendemeer Hotel for putting on a great meal and a great night of poets. So what I'm going to be doing tonight, I've recorded some of these poets that I was down there, one of those being Bruce Walker, a 92-year-old poet who's got some great stuff. He reckons he's a mate of Johnny Walker or something like that. And man, yours truly as well. You'll see my whole performance, which is recorded. So that's what we've got in store for you, as well as the poems of Shaw Neilson. We'll be continuing with those. And so let's start with the weather, hey, shall we? All right, the weather in Guyra is currently 11.6 degrees. So I reckon it feels like 5.3, but it's definitely not cold. And overnight, it's only going to get down to 9 degrees. Like, it's absolutely balmy. Like, that's hot here for a winter night in Guyra. And tomorrow's max, yes, even though it's only 9 overnight, tomorrow's max is only going to be 10. And rain. It's raining very soon. It'll be raining all night. It'll be raining all day, and it'll clear up probably late in the afternoon, Wednesday afternoon. Yeah, so that's what's happening. Wednesday's a wet and windy, rainy Wednesday in Guyra. Now, if you are somewhere else, use your own bomb app and look up your own weather, because I can't do all of Australia or the world. You know how it is. I can only talk about what it is like here. I know it's raining a lots up in southeast Queensland, and it's all heading to northern New South Wales. So if you're somewhere where it could be flooded, don't drive into floodwater. Like, that'd be just silly, and it's dangerous. And be safe, all right? Just be safe. If the floodwater's coming up, get out, evacuate, and we care for you. Anyway, I'm Thundercloud, and I'm washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. There's always, every cloud has a silver lining. Yeah, so they say. The wind blows on everybody. All right, shall we get on with the show? And a bit of a poem of John Shaw Neilson. The evening is the morning. To make my love more delicate, I say into her eyes, the evening is the morning, dear, but in a sweet disguise. The morning was too loud with light, and the many birds would sing. Who but the thoughtless would exchange the autumn for the spring? To make my love more beautiful, I sing into her ear, 'tis not the morning that I love, it is the evening, dear. No sweets of all the sweets we knew are sweets as those we know. And though she sighs most heavily, she says 'tis even so. To make my love think happily, I say the morning wine did much disturb thy maiden's heart and put a storm in mine. The sunlight did so play with us, what strength or sight had we? And though her tears will come, she says, I speak most faithfully. I say to make my sweet heart laugh. Now all our work is done. The evening is the morning, dear. We shall deceive the sun. Her hair that once was summer heat is but a bloom in grey. Still, she will tell me evening is the morning that I say. Yeah, the evening is the morning by John Shaw Neilson. All right, what have we got coming up here? Well, tomorrow night we've got the Australian Poetry Slam workshop with Rob Waters. So if you're about and you want to learn the art of slam poetry, get here and be here at 6 o'clock, because that is a workshop worth doing and not missing. Then Thursday night, we've actually got the Gyra Regional Heat of the Australian Poetry Slam. So that is all happening. It's all happening here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, because on Friday we've got Hester Goldheist and Andrew Claremont, the Flower and the Fiddle, and a cabaret. Yes, it's a sit down with a meal and beautiful music for the evening, 3-course meal. So get your tickets online, check out the link down below for the Flower and the Fiddle, and don't forget Wednesday night, the Slam Poetry Workshop here instead of Wednesday Words, and Thursday we've got the Australian Poetry Slam Heat here. So if you're a poet, a slam poet, and you want someone to hear your words and you want the opportunity to get down to Sydney for the New South Wales State Final, come along. Come along, because there's going to be spots, and if you're an audience member, definitely come along, because it's going to be certainly exciting. All right, next, The Eyes of Little Charlotte. Now, God has made a wistful world, and a woman strangely coy. Her eyes say come and go and come and say and be a boy. Oh, the eyes of little Charlotte say, come, kiss me if you can. But in a trice they change and cry, go out and be a man. Oh, the eyes of little Charlotte say, you shall not flinch at pain, you shall not sigh for the cool cities, or moan for the soft rain. The wind shall bite you throat and cheek, the sun shall leave its tan. But the eyes of little Charlotte say, go out and be a man. And you shall speak as a man speaks, not merely mouthed or mild, but you must go with a girl's love for every lisping child. Nor shall you live in the far clouds, as only dreamers can, for the eyes of little Charlotte say, go out and be a man. And you shall fight as a man fights, and fare as a man may, and you shall see as giants see and hear what giants say. You shall not bide in a safe place, near by a lady's fan, for the eyes of little Charlotte say, go out and be a man. And your reward, the old reward, that is for all who dare, the long love of a warm woman, and kisses proud and fair. Oh, you shall toil for love, the law, since ever love began. For the eyes of little Charlotte say, go out and be a man. What a lovely little poem that one is. Yeah, right. Okay, what have I got? Look, I've got a couple of books, out. Well, I've got 4 books out, and I've got a zine coming out very, very soon. Look, Love in Nimbin is the first one that I published. You can get these on Amazon. Lust in Nimbin was also published at the same time as Love in Nimbin. So Love and Lust in Nimbin, that's the series, and it's a play on, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, but Love and Lust in Nimbin. I wanted to find what are the opposites of Fear and Loathing, Love and Lust. So you can find them on Amazon. You can also buy them directly from me here, which means you're not supporting Jeff Bezos, and then I'm getting the profit for my books instead of Amazon. The third one that I published is Poetry to End Prohibition, the 4/20/2020 edition, and then the 4th one, Djanbung's Peaceful Protest in Nimbin. That's my 4th poetry book to be published. But I've got a advanced draft copy here of the Thunder Zine #1 2024. I've had my dad helping me with the editing and the proofreading and stuff like that. So thank you very much to my dad. And this has got great poems in it, like Julius the Flying Giraffe, Crisis of Spirituality, some anarchy haiku. Live in the moment. And that's the one I'm going to read to you today. Now or never. Don't worry forever. Let go of your grip. Live here now. Live in the moment. Make your life a trip. Gratitude for memories past. No pain forever lasts. Right now you're all right. The universe doesn't care because there is no darkness where there is light. So you'll be able to buy this here from me when it gets printed, and Thunder Zine #1. It's only $5, and also check out Loving Nimbin, Lusting Nimbin, Poetry to End Prohibition, and Djanbung's Peaceful Protest in Nimbin. On Amazon. You can also get them as Kindle ebooks if you don't want to buy the hard copy as well. All right. The next one I've got for you is from John Shaw Neilson, is the Ballad of Remembrance. I met a man out Bathurst Way in the middle of the year. He had an honest, kindly face and eyes without a fear, a pleasant man to look upon, a pleasant man to hear. And he would talk as men will talk of what their hands have done, of plains and hills and wilderness where sheep and cattle run, of the bitterness of frost and rain and the blinding of the sun. He had the bushman's ready eye, and he heard the faintest sound. The names he knew of all that flew or ran upon the ground. His knowledge was not of the kind that is with scholars found. One thing I saw, whene'er I talked of all read history, of England's victories on the land, her strength upon the sea, he listened quietly, but would say no generous word to me. The silence of the man was such that I would more and more speak of the English there had never lived on earth before, a race so just and merciful. His silence made me sore. One night I spoke of English law and what the English do. Listen, he said, and I will tell a shameful thing to you. 'Twas old when I was born, this night it comes up ever new. Too long have I been in the bush, my thinking may be slow, but when you praise the English, then knowing all I know, if I did not speak, then I should feel the lowest of the low. My father, he could fight although he was but bone and skin. I saw him fight with a big man who had a heavy chin, and the heavy fist I stood 2 hours and saw my father win. My father had the slow speech, and his words came tenderly. When we were splitting in the bush one day, we took a tree with young birds in the nest all day. He could not speak to me. An open-handed man he was, as all who knew him tell. He was not hard in anything. He strove to teach us well. He said, there's something in a man that they dare not buy or sell. My father could not read or write. Now little children can. Of death and things at the back of it, his simple reasoning ran. And he said, I cannot believe that God is bitter like a man. How dim he was, because he stared, they said his eyes were dim. But when he drank, those eyes would change and his jaws would be so grim. And the thoughts at the bottom of his heart came tumbling out of him. Some things there are, my father said, I keep remembering. A man's body is coarse, he said, though he may be a king, but the body of a sweet woman, that is the holy thing. 'Twas in your England that he starved, and he would not dare to kill. He knew the law, and the law it said, his mouth he must not fill. All wisdom came from God, he heard, and the hunger was his will. There was found the food before his eyes, and why should he be bound? The rich men owned each inch of earth and the riches underground. They would have owned the soul of man had such a thing been found. These laws, I said, were harsh, but they have long since disappeared. Wherever strong men live and thrive, is English law revered? That flag is loved, and we are proud to know that it is feared. But the man, he said, you boast that all the English laws are fair. Long have I heard such tales, they seem like dust upon the air. For the English sent my father here for the shooting of a hare. One day we were in the deep bush, my father's tongue was free. I was not far into my teens, and his back he showed to me, and even now when I think of it, my eyes can scarcely see. These laws, he said, were cruel laws, they were in every land. The English gave you all you have, and you fail to understand that laws are made for the English by the people's own command. The man, he said, I may be dull, you speak of English law. Would you so love it had you seen this shameful thing I saw? For me, that back is always bare, those wounds are always raw. He was a convict forced to work when the squatter ruled the land. For some slight fault his master put a letter in his hand, and he said, take this to Bathurst jail, they'll make you understand. Too well the law my father knew, the law of lash and chain. That day he walked to Bathurst jail was in the blinding rain, and they flogged his flesh to his bones, and then he walked back again. The man, he said, I've always heard that English laws are fair. We are part of England and a fighting glory share. But the English sent my father here for the shooting of a hare. My father was of England, and it is against my will of any nation on the earth to speak one word of ill. But I know the English by one mark, my eyes can see it still. Then spoke I still of England, I would not lightly yield. England, I said, is strong, she does the little nations shield. And the man, he said, some things there are that never can be healed. That's a interesting poem. That one, a very sad one, really. The next one by John Shaw Neilson we've got is The Flight of the Weary. Your feet have been made for the fairies, your 17 sorrows are there. The moonlight has been with the sunlight, and both have misgoverned your hair. You love not the noise of the city, you love not the scent of the sea, and oh, you are weary, how weary, and the world is so weary with me. You cannot go out to the blossom, you cannot contend in the play. I call you the little white maiden, the moon that is out all the day. The lights in the leaves are of scarlet, the colour that comes to redeem. The winds are all painted with honey, and we can escape in a dream. In moods of unmeasured magenta, the sun has apparelled the day. The leaves are as words in a fable, or tears that come out in a play. Oh, you with a year to a sorrow, the cynical summer and spring shall both be ashamed of their dancing, and you shall hear many birds sing. Oh, we have been sorry and soiled by the low living scent of the sea. Come, let us escape in the scarlet, and you can be wary with me. The flowers shall have all the sweet voices that ever came into the ear, and spring as a mourner shall listen, and summer shall save us a tear. Out there in beloved October, then shall we anoint for a king some little old desolate dreamer who had not the passion to sing. The wind shall be sweet as the kisses that come when a maiden is kind. The dews out of heaven shall hasten and open the eyes of the blind. The silent shall speak, and the ears of the deaf shall be shaken with sound. There shall be a forest, and lovers shall make it the holiest ground. The sunlight shall be with the moonlight, and leave the delight on your hair. The birds of the forest shall journey and sing the sweet hymns for you there. The lakes shall be many and gentle, the water birds holy and wise, shall put the grief out of your shoulders and pull the pain out of your eyes. Our God shall be drowsy and think out his thoughts like a beautiful tree, and you shall be weary, how weary, with all that is weary to me. There we go. That one was called, again, The Flight of the Weary. Okay, look, if you like this, why don't you give it a thumbs up, please? Please give this a thumbs up while I'm talking. And then if you're not already subscribed, subscribe and click on that notification bell icon as well. And then you'll get notified when I'm uploading new videos from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Now, this book here, John Shaw Neilson's, the poems of John Shaw Neilson, published in 1942, I think it was. 1965, actually. I'm quite far way out. It's actually from the Australian Poetry Library and Archive just here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. It's now pushing 2,500 Australian poetry books, and your donation or gifting of your poetry books would really be appreciated. The whole idea of the Australian Poetry Library and Archives is to preserve and conserve Australian poetry in an archive here in Guyra, so that people who come along can read the poetry, and I can read them out to you, and they're preserved, and we've got an archive of poetry, that's all. So if you would like to donate any of your books or poetry books or your collection of poetry, you can drop them off here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, or post them to 144 Bradley Street, Guyra, at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, of course. Postcode 2365, actually. Yeah. Okay, next one I've got from John Shaw Neilson is For a Child. Into your angel mouth, the sport of spring and summer's honey came rioting. Your eyes were as flowers, fine gold your hair. Warm in my heart you sang, love like a prayer. The sunbeam, the moon mist, were one with you, and all the sighing bloom that takes the dew. Love was about you, through your silken skin. Love like a sun ray ran out and in. Wild kiss and heavy love, loose every hold. Oh, sunlight, my sunlight, how dark the cold. The next one, For a Little Girl's Birthday. Is there a beauty over pain? Is there music for a song? Gentle as sunlight on the rain, gentle with crying all day long. How should a singer of the cold sing strange holiness in air? In his blue famine seek to hold vainly your paradise of hair. Once in a wonderment I prayed, earth is upon me, my tedious mild. Hear me, O hapless God of aid, throw me a heaven around a child. For a Little Girl's Birthday. And the next one is a very short one, and it's From a Coffin. Wrapped in the yellow earth. What shall I fear? Sour hate and shallow mirth? Never come near. Shape me no epitaph, sugar no rhyme. I had the heart to laugh once on a time. Well, from a coffin. Next one, Green Lover. Froggy was caught while crossing a brook. A little white duck came and gobbled him up. And that's an old rhyme, apparently. Ghosts in plenty about the world step lightly here and there. They take a trip in the chimney smoke, they cough in an empty chair. But one I know of, he sets his sail when the stars run pale and thin. He sails away at the flush of day in a curled-up lolly tin. Long ago did he saunter forth when the trees came out to bloom. Oh, evil luck with the lily-white duck, he went to an early doom. Crossing a brook he was, his heart was hot with love therein. Now he sails away at the flush of day in a curled-up lolly tin. The peacock's colour was on his back and great thoughts in his eyes. He would not care for the slow beware of his mother old and wise. He hopped elate, but a pitiless fate, as a lily-white duck came in. Now he sails away at the flush of day in a curled-up lolly tin. Sugar is love and honey is love, and that is the reason why he loves to float in a sugary boat, and he makes no moan or sigh. He puts no curse on a race perverse with nothing to lose or win. He sails away at the flush of day in a curled-up lolly tin. If ever you rise when the little flowers come shyly one by one, whispering little white thoughts of love and leaning out to the sun, when the laughing jacks by the riverside their comedies begin, then a ghost in green is plainly seen in his curled-up lolly tin. The peacock's colour is on his back and great thoughts in his eyes. He is no trader, he has no need of 1,000 worn-out lies. He loses well and he will not grieve for the world or its weight of sin. He sails away at the flush of day in a curled-up lolly tin. Whenever I read of kings and queens and knights and ladies fair, who drank of life as a goodly cup, nor dreamed of a sorrow there, I know they were driven of love for love. They fought through thick and thin, and fell for love like the glistening ghost in the curled-up lolly tin. The dawn is ever a creepy time. The mysteries make it so. Beauty is broken about the sky, and into the earth below. Shadows go out and stars go out, and the royal red comes in. A lover green is always seen in his curled-up lolly tin. Wise men perish and old dreams go, but many, the great and wise, have told the truth to our golden youth, that a lover never dies. His bones may whiten, his dust may go. His bones may whiten, his dust may go. Where new worlds would begin and love prevails, 'tis a lover sails in the curled-up lolly tin. Yeah, that's that. That's a beautiful poem by John Shaw Neilson. All right. Now, as I promised you early, I am going to cut now to Bendemeer Hotel.
How are you tonight? Yeah? Over here, all right? Have you enjoyed the night? Yeah. It's been great food, it's been great poems, great poetry. Well, I'm Thundercloud. Boom! Mum calls me James. I've come from Gaia at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, washing away the garbage living rainbows after rains. We've had mention of Keith Garvey over there, and I've got one of Keith Garvey's books right here for sale if you want. I brought a few of my own for sale, and there's a Henry Lawson's and Banjo Patterson as well. But I guess I want to start with the horses, actually the Anzacs, because we've had one war poem tonight, but this one is about what were the Remounts. These are the horses that were sent gathered up and sent over to Gallipoli and wherever, Flanders, a whole lot of places, to replace horses that were killed in battle. Now, this poem was written by a poet named Mollie McNutt 108 years ago, and she won the 1916 prize for this poem. It was calling on poems about the Remounts. And Mollie McNutt lived in Hillgrove, just 30 minutes east of Armidale. And she was a teacher there, and a lot of her poetry was published in the school journals that were sent out to schools that were teachers taught from. And she also won a prize in 1912 and 13, both 2 years running for the Gould League Poetry Prize on verse about birds. But this is Australian Remounts. This is about the horses. Stalwart dams they ran within the mammoth station paddocks, where the roller circles and the grey-winged ibis throng. Heard the dingoes howling in the lonesome midnight watches and the wonder music of the magpie's morning song. Romped across tussock grass and gambled in the sunshine, smuggled by their mothers through the frost-clear southern nights, while in friendly fashion looked the great cross down upon them, with its 5 points twinkling midst a host of lesser lights. Whether born or bred amongst the blue New England ranges, or in Never Never land of far-flung saltbush plains, sunny smiling Queensland or the slopes of cold Monaro, ran the blood of gallant sires in all their hounding veins. Fragrant in their nostrils was the breath of gum and wattle. Do they now in foreign lands, across the tossing foam, fancy through the darkness they can hear the mopo calling, stir in restless slumbers, fret some fleeting dream of home? Puzzled at the strangeness of the blow that fate has dealt them, war to them a nightmare they can never understand, tugging up the grey guns, stiff and sore and weary, through the snows of somewhere or the scorching desert sands, plunging gamely onward where the cruel shells are screaming midst the crack of rifles and the bullets zip and thud, winning flame and gory, all unknowing and uncaring, craving but the homestead for those leagues of Flanders mud. Powerful, isn't it? That's Mollie McNutt. So at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame we do a lot of things. Wednesday night there's an open mic, so if you're passing by, come on in. Tuesday night I do a recording of poetry and I put it up on YouTube, so you can look up Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. There's a heap of Banjo Patterson and Henry Lawson, and there's shorts and there's hour and a half sessions, there's a whole lot of stuff, so check that out. What have I got now? This one is by Anonymous. It's called Mad Jack's Cockatoo. Now, anyone watch the Olympics? I was watching the Olympics, the women's boxing the other day, and I thought I saw a cockatoo. But I was mistaken. Took a while, didn't it? Yeah. Mad Jack's Cockatoo. There's a man that went out in the flood time and drought by the banks of the Out of Arku, and they called him Mad Jack because the swag on his back was a perch for an old cockatoo. In the towns near and far, in shed, shanty and bar, came the Yardens of Mad Jack and his bird. And this tale I relate was told by a mate. It was just one of the many I've heard. Now, Jack was a bloke who could drink holy smoke. He could swig 20 mugs to my 10, and that old cockatoo could drink quite a few and drank with the rest of the men. One day, when the heat was a thing hard to beat, Mad Jack and his old cockatoo came in from the west at the old swagman's rest. Jack ordered the schooners for two. And when these had gone down, Jack forked out half a crown and they drank till the money was spent. And he forked out a note from his old tattered coat and between them they drank every cent. Then that old cockatoo, it swore, red, black and blue, and it knocked all the mugs off the bar and it flew through the air and it pulled at the hair of a bloke who was drinking 3-star. And it jerked out the pegs from the barrels and kegs, knocked the bottles all down from the shelf with a sound like a chief, dived into the beer, and it ended up drowning itself. When Mad Jack awoke from his sleep, he ne'er spoke, but he cried like a lost husband's wife, and each quick fallen tear made a flood with all the beer, and the men had to swing for their life. Well, when the waters went down, well, Mad Jackie did drown. He was lying there stiffened and blue, and as told far and wide, stretched out by his side, was his trackmate, the old cockatoo. Oh yeah, that's by Anonymous. So yeah, the birds, hey, I was in the Gyra Bakery the other day, and this big like honey eater had flown in, and it was flying around the ceiling, and they were chasing it with a broom, trying to get it to go down, out the door. Go down, go down. I can't get a bird to go down either. I said to my mate. Yeah. All right. This is one called The Addict. You don't have pokies here. Thank you very much. This was by Blue the Shearer, also known as, or his real name was Col Wilson, not Colin Bloody Wilson. So, this bloke in the doctor's surgery says, "Doctor, I'm in pain. I broke me who's it, what's it. Can you straighten it again? Broke your who's it, what's it. Oh my, that does look sore. I've never seen a fellow with a broken one before. Can you tell me while I did it? How you did it while I fix this plaster cast?" "Okay, Doc, I'll tell you, please. Just straighten out me mast. It's all because of this wife of mine. She's one-arm bandit mad. She plays the pokies day and night. She's really got it mad. In the early hours I awoke and thought, hello, she's got me by the gear shift and she's moving to and fro, but she's dreaming, playing pokies, gripping hard enough to choke it for half an hour. She kept it up and in the end she broke it. Half an hour, the doctor said. It must have hurt like hell. She might have thought to let you know if you'd have thought to yell. I couldn't see the bloke. The pain was murdering me loins, and worst of all, my mouth was filled with 50 10-cent coins. Alright. Some of the things that we do in the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. One, we've got a library of Australian and international poetry, pushing about 2,500 books now. And we're always looking for donations. I've bought one of them so far, so that's going back there to the Australian Poetry Library. But in November I'll be running the Poets on the Mountain and the New South Wales Bush Poetry Championships again, the second time in a row this year after many years hiatus. And at the moment, so poets or any filmmakers, I'm also running the Australian Poetry Film Competition, which will be showing as a film festival during the Poets on the Mountain Festival in November. And there's 3 categories. There's Best Australian Poetry Film, Best Student Poetry Film, and Best Australian Bush Poetry Film. So that's available on filmfreeway.com/Australian Poetry Film Contest. Yeah, ask me later if you want. This last one is one that I wrote, and it's called Julius the Flying Giraffe. Where is he? Here it is. Now, I got a son, and his middle name was Julius. When he was 17, he was in a little bit of trouble, as often happens to 17-year-old boys. So I wrote him this. He's now at 23. He's 2 years out of his apprenticeship as a carpenter, and he's making a packet up there in Brisbane. But this was written for him. It's a bit of a kid's one, but it's lots of fun anyway. And Julius the Flying Giraffe. You see, Julius Giraffe was often found trying to lift himself up off the ground, because Julius Giraffe had a dream of flying. He never gave up hope or gave up trying. Julius Giraffe wanted to fly, so he plotted, planned, calculated and applied. But no matter how much he flapped his legs around, Julius Giraffe never got off the ground. Julius Giraffe decided to see if he would fly like a bird if he jumped from a tree. But Julius Giraffe wasn't a goat. His chance of climbing a tree was quite remote. The baboon yelled out, "Julius, giraffes can't fly. No matter how much you try and try, Julius Giraffe, you've got a long tongue, very long neck, long legs. You can run across the savannah and the wide plain. Giraffes aren't meant to fly. I'm just saying, a giraffe isn't a bird, it isn't a fish, nor is it a bacteria in a lab petri dish. Your skinny giraffe legs aren't built for flying. Give up on your dream before you die trying." Julius Giraffe wasn't looking out and didn't see the poachers lurking about. Next thing he knew, Julius woke up on a cage on the back of a poacher's truck. He cried for his family and the baboon and the rain on the plain. During the monsoon, he was stolen from Africa, taken away, put in an aeroplane, and he flew that day. Well, the moral of the story is, get this, be very discerning for what you wish. The plane suffered engine failure, went into a dive. The pilot bailed out. We wanted to stay alive. What's going to happen? Julius Giraffe was in luck. He found the last parachute. Well, he wingsuited down. He flew through the air. He glided with birds. He did a loop, the loop, but his voice was heard yelling, "I'm a flying giraffe! I'm in the sky! Fantastic, amazing! I'm a giraffe who can fly!" Well, he landed beside the baboon and the tree. I didn't give up hope on my dream, and I flew through. It was unexpected. I didn't have to try. I never gave up hope, and I got to fly because I never gave up on my hopes or my dreams. They came true in the most unexpected way, it seems. I'm a flying giraffe. I didn't die. My dreams all came true, and I flew in the sky, said Julius, the Flying Giraffe. Thank you very much. Thanks out of you, that. Well, look, that's all I've prepared. I'm not going to keep you here any longer. Thank you very much for coming. And
one of the things that's happening here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame is the Australian Poetry Film Competition, or film contest actually. And it's running in conjunction with the Poets on the Mountain Festival in November. And that's when the winners will be announced here at the Poets on the Mountain Festival in mid-November. But if you're a poet and you know it, or a filmmaker and you make films and you know a poet, why don't you enter? There's 3 categories this year: Best Australian Poetry Film, Best Australian Bush Poetry Film, and Best Student Poetry Film. So check it out. It's the link's in the description, filmfreeway.com/Australian Poetry Film Contest. And I'm looking forward to seeing your entries. We've already got a few in, so it doesn't close till September or October for late entries. So you've still got plenty of time to make a poetry film. Just grab your camera, grab your film, grab your phone. Grab your phone. That's the thing what I wanted to say. Grab your phone. Get someone to film you doing your poetry, or someone like one of your grandkids or something to use iMovie and put together a poetry film of you and your poetry or whatever. I don't care. Just do it, because we'd love to see what talent's out there, and it's a new way to engage people in poetry and film together, because everyone's on their devices and they're looking at short films. So it would be really good if you could enter the Australian Poetry Film, and you never know, you might win. True. Very true. If you're a good poet, got a good film and everything. Okay. Well, that is available. That last one, Julius the Flying Giraffe, is available in my book, Djanbung's Peaceful Protest in Nimbin. And it's also available in the upcoming launch of my new zine, the Thunder Zine #1. Julius the Flying Giraffe is in there, and it's only $5, but it's only available from me here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. And it will be printed, and it should be here back next week, because it's already been edited, and I'm about to send it off to the printer. Okay, well, that's it for Chillin' Tuesday tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. Should I do one more from? Let's do one more from in here, and this is Eternal Love. Not a tree, not a Christian, Muslim, Jew, nor a bumblebee. Not a religion or socio-cultural system, neither southern, northern, nor eastern, neither southern, northern, nor eastern, nor western, never broken nor beaten, spring from the life of one and the unity of two. Breathe deep, feel me. I am the eternal love that flows from inside of you. Boom. I'm Thundercloud, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rain. I'll see you here tomorrow night, I hope, for the Australian Poetry Slam workshop with Rob Waters. Looking forward to it. And I will see you next week with Chillin' Tuesday. There will be no Wednesday words this week. In fact, I'll be uploading last week's Wednesday words on Wednesday. So you will see, well, very soon anyway. So you'll see that there.